All right, guys, welcome back. I'm sure I will miss most of you. I'm starting the show a little bit later than I wanted to. We had a bad lightning storm come by here, and I decided to wait till it passed by. I didn't want to blow up another TV. As some of you know, I've had the worst luck with TVs over the years, and I've lost track of how many I've bought over the course of about 15 years or so. Anyway, the storm has passed, so we'll do this podcast for tonight. As a reminder, you can download these shows on the Patreon page with no ads, and that supports the live podcast, and you can listen with these shows with no ads with your enjoyment. All right, so we'll get started here in a minute. I think what I'll do here, I'll go straight to the stories, then I will jump in the chat and see if there's anybody there. Again, I did not schedule this. But if there is anybody in the chat, then of course I'll stick around. If not, I'll catch you on the next one. If you enjoy listening to these and haven't subscribed, please do and hit the notification bell because I don't have a set schedule. I do these anytime I have some free time. All right, so give me a second here to get situated and we'll go straight into the one news nonsense story and a couple of Linux stories. And that'll be it for tonight. All right, first up is there's a new crime called jugging, and my first thought was jugging like a jug of wine because you guys know I love buying gallons of red wine thanks to the community donations. Thank you. You know who you are. Uh, yeah, jugging this is not this is all true, not a joke. Jugging is a criminal act in which perpetrators observe individuals withdrawing money from banks or ATMs and subsequently following them to steal the cash. The term jugging originates from the notion of a jug typically used to carry large amounts of money. The crime is on the rise in several states, including Texas and South Carolina. If you're at an ATM and you're using a jug to withdraw money, maybe you should stop doing that. So what happens here, I don't use it. I don't use any ATMs at all. I don't have any banking apps on my phone because I don't believe privacy the way we define privacy exists on the internet. Period. That being said, if this was me and I knew someone was following me, I would withdraw the money and I would drive straight down to the police station where the police captain is a friend of mine. Knowing that there was a car following me, I would get out of the car, wave the money, and say, "Hi, the jail has a free room ready for you for the weekend, guys." But I'm just joking there. But it sounds like it would be a fun thing to do. So that being said, jokes aside, be careful. Always be observant. If you are withdrawing an unusual amount of cash from an ATM, I would say probably don't do it at night. Be with a friend. Yeah, maybe there are some other tips. Those of you who are in law enforcement or retired from law enforcement or brand new cops or whatever, or working for the FBI or CIA, if you have any more tips for this, let me know. But I mean, I am cracking jokes here, but this is serious. And I did not know that there was a new crime called jugging. I think the name is ridiculous, but the crime is not ridiculous. All right, let's dispel some Chromebook myths. All the controversy lately with Wayland display driver, Xlibre, XOR. Luckily with Chromebooks, there's none of that nonsense, but there are a bunch of myths. We'll take a look at 3 right here. All right, Chromebooks are useless without an internet connection. Not true. Chromebooks can still perform many tasks offline, allowing users to watch local video files, listen to music, and access other files. The Chrome Web Store has an entire section of apps that can work offline, including productivity tools like Google Docs and Gmail. So Chromebooks have come a long way. The beauty about a Chromebook is you never have to use the terminal. So all 1 billion Windows users who say Linux sucks because you have to use the terminal, time out. Have you tried a Chromebook lately? Yeah, I mean, I don't know which Linux you tried in the past, but Linux has gotten better. Now, when I say Linux, some Linux, not all of Linux. So anyway, that's the first myth. Myth number two: Chromebooks are underpowered and not suitable for serious work. No. Modern Chromebooks have a wide range of specifications like i7 processors and 16 gigabytes of RAM, and also the Chrome OS can now support running apps from Android, Linux, and Windows, providing a versatile computing experience. Last but not least, the last myth here: Chromebooks cannot run apps. I just said that is not true. Chromebooks can run more apps than any other device, from Android, Linux, Windows concurrently, and the Chrome Web Store has a wide range of apps that work offline. So for the most productivity, I suppose, if you're coming from a Windows environment and you do not care for all this drama with Linux, I don't either. It's a shame it's gotten to this point. But again, this channel was not designed for Linux users to switch to Linux, to convince them to switch to Linux. It was designed for the many, many Windows users who've thought about switching to Linux or want to try Linux, but just need a Windows voice to give them the facts and just the facts, ma'am. And that's what I've tried to do here. And for some it works, for some it doesn't. I get it. We all have our favorites when it comes to technology. All right. Last but not least for tonight. All right. So you may have heard of the new display server driver Xlibre. So Xlibre is a fork of the Xorg 11 server, aiming to modernize and revitalize the aging X11 protocol while maintaining backward compatibility, which is super important. Xlibre introduces features like the X namespace extension, porting XNES to XCB, and ABI driver directories for smoother upgrades. Xlibre is seen by some as the way to preserve the flexibility and configurability of X11, especially for users who rely on legacy workflows or encounter issues with Wayland's design limitations. And apparently, if you're being forced to use Wayland, there is a slight performance degradation in gaming. I saw somewhere. If you are a disabled person, God bless you, but if you are in some way disabled and want to use Wayland, well, you're screwed. Evidently, very poor accessibility features, if any, from what I understand. And a lot of apps are not going to work. And if we are forced to switch to Wayland, what is the amount of software that will be obsolete? Now, the Xorg Foundation was founded in the early 2000s, right? Xorg was, I think, 2004, 5, somewhere around there. Wayland was founded in 2008. Xlibre, I think, the first alpha or whatever was just released in 2025. So you have a choice of old, not so old, or newer, something for the future. Oh boy, that's a toughie. I got to think about this as a Windows user. This is just plain goofy. You know, and I hate to see this for Linux because I enjoyed using some forms of Linux. I try to tell many potential Windows or Linux users, times have changed, man. You can't say that Linux sucks. You just can't. You can say some of it sucks, like the whole drama sucks, but some Linux is great. You know, Chromebooks outsold Macs a few years ago. And I know Chromebooks aren't for everyone. I totally get it. And for some of you, Chromebooks is not the real Linux philosophy. I get that. As a Windows user, I understand. But the beauty about a Chromebook is a modification of the Linux kernel, technically, and for new users, it's great. But Windows users want more. I want more choice of just a Chromebook where I don't have to fiddle with the terminal or worry about the display driver or worry about apps not working. Xlibre, I think, and I guess Xlibre is a one-man show, and I think Xlibre is attempting to fix that. It seems to me that's the future. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going off on a useless rant here, but I hate to see Linux hurt. And maybe Linux will survive this and won't matter. But if I am being forced to use Wayland against, for all my Linux choices, I'm going back to Windows and my Chromebook. Because the Linux philosophy should be about, well, working as a team. Let's make Linux better for all. Let's make Linux better than Windows. Working together. Technology for humanity, right? I've met many friends through the use of Linux over the years. I'm so grateful for that. So we don't need this nonsense. It's kind of like saying, "Hey, I got a newer Chevy. I had one from 2004, but I got a 2008." Well, the cars are still outdated. This is the same with Xlibre, and Wayland. They're still outdated. Okay, so more work is being done on Wayland. I get it, but it's 2008. That's when it started. My friends, post-pandemic, the world has gone goofy, and I'm being nice saying that, I think. Anyway, that's my thoughts about all this, about the jugging crime and Chromebook myths and the X11 controversy, which, yeah, I'm just going to say it's just plain goofy, and this is not going to help Windows users switch to Linux. Yeah. Windows users are like Linux users. Whether you have a disability or not, we just want our systems to work. Period. Keep the politics and the controversy off the technology table. Just build a system that works. All the apps can work. No compatibility issues. And maybe I think this is what Xlibre is designed to do. From what I read, now look, I don't use Linux exclusively. Okay. I may be an experienced user, but I am by no means an expert simply because I do not use Linux exclusively. And it's because of reasons like this. There is only one global standard Linux desktop, and that's a Chromebook. And I don't think it's enough. All right. Enough of that. I'm going to take a short 5-minute break here, grab some water. If you are in the chat and want to say hello, now's your chance to say hello. If not, I will call it a night. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right. I had to, boy, it's been so hot here. It's easy to lose fluids. I just had to grab some of my fruit punch Gatorade for tonight. No alcohol for tonight, actually. I actually went downtown. My jazz friends were in from Pittsburgh for a free show, and I normally grab a beer or something, but I just had water. I think when it gets this hot, water is probably the best thing. Or maybe Gatorade too. I don't know, but I love me some Gatorade. All right. All right, let's see who's in the chat. I know it's a little bit late for some. Ah, Timo is in the house. Hello. Good evening. How are you, mate? Hope you're staying cool in this well, I guess this normal summer heat wave, right? I'm not complaining. It's better this than shoveling snow. It was funny. Monday night, I went to my neighbor's house, and they have a hot tub, Tim. So in the back porch that's private. And the wife says, "You're gonna go in the hot tub in this heat?" Hey, I used to live in Florida. Plus, I'm Italian. We're naturally hot. You see what I'm saying? She was right. It was a little hot to go in the hot tub, and the sun was still out, Tim. So the next night, I went around 8:30 during sunset. I got in that 104-degree water. Ah, it was great. I did my stretches. I'm having some lower back issues. I've been using a portable TENS machine and all that. And I did my stretches in the hot tub. And oh man, it was so. I actually slept better. I slept better. It was great. So yeah, awesome. So if you're having back problems or want to sleep better, go into a hot tub and you'll be fine. Oh, Tim, you're having a beer. Okay, nothing. I sometimes I'll drink a Bud Light when I'm in the mood. Why did they put the 4379 after your name? Oh, I have no idea. I did see that. That's not me. Are you a Terminator? I am Terminator 4379. Blah. I really don't know. That must be a Google thing going on, but I have no idea. I'll have to look into that. I don't know. Speaking of the Terminator, I think James Cameron wants to do one more Terminator. I don't know if Arnold is coming back. I think it'd be great. You know, he's coming back with the walking cane. I will whack you with my cane. Blah. Anyway, how's things going, Tim? If anybody else wants to say hello, I have a question about Linux. If you are first time here, hey, don't be shy. We all started somewhere. I started with Linux years ago by myself. A lot of this is self-taught, and so I'm trying to make the transition easier for you guys if you're thinking about dumping Windows or curious about something else. So if you are here watching this and you are new, that's why I do these shows, man. Say hello. Yeah, Tim, I came on a little bit later tonight. We had a lightning storm come by. I was actually downtown. I wanted to leave earlier, but the storm came, so came on a little bit late, but want to jump on before I go to bed. Yeah, the Luckily, living in Florida almost 10 years, I can adjust to the heat pretty well. I don't have any health issues when it comes to heat. Of course, I stay out of the sun and drink lots of fluids, usually water. Even though I love my wine, I don't think alcohol is the best thing in super hot weather. Unless you're drinking both that and water, then that's probably a way to balance things. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Tim, you're still using Ubuntu. Is that correct? If I recall, I think you use Ubuntu and something else. Um, I think Ubuntu. So, are you using strictly Wayland for your display, or are you toggling back and forth because of potential issues? You like Corona and Bush Light? Okay, hey, those are okay. Yeah, yeah. I like a different Bush Light, but that's a different story. But a boom. Psh. Uh, oh man, talk. But yeah, yeah. I usually grab when I'm into it, I'll grab a Bud Light. So, all right. So you are on the 2404. That would be the LTS if I recall, right? Okay. But yeah, in the next Ubuntu, it'll be strictly running off the Wayland display driver, no longer a choice with Zork. So people who are still having issues with Wayland, I guess they'll have to move on to like a Linux Mint, where you still have a choice as far as drivers go. All right, so Ubuntu and MX. Gotcha. Yeah, I have MX32-bit on one of my old ThinkPads. Admittedly, I don't use that as much. But ThinkPads are like Lexus cars. They just keep going and going and going. They are amazing laptops. Tim, you came in late, so here's the joke du jour, the joke of the evening. I have a new pet. It's a pet termite. I call him Clint. Clint eats wood. Bada bing. Ah, antics also. Okay. So yeah, I thought it was funny. So I guess you like using all three, Ubuntu MX and Antics. Antics, I believe, is the very, very lightweight one, if I remember correctly. Right? I think so. And look, they still offer 32-bit support, which one of the Linux stories I read, a lot of distributions going to be dropping 32-bit support. Um, I'll probably donate my ThinkPads one of these days. I'll pull the SSD drive, and yeah, that'll be the end of that. Yeah, yeah, it's the sister of MX. Yes, that is correct. I had to think for a second. I think it's the lighter, much lighter version. I think with Antics you can run it with the little as 500 megabytes of RAM, I think. Not that it's recommended, but I think you can. I was listening to a podcast last night, Tim, on the West Virginia Public um, radio, and on a side note here, they had Mark Hamill, of course, famous for the Luke Skywalker role in Star Wars. Uh, he's a very funny guy, but he was talking about how he got the role. He did the screen test for Star Wars, and he had to read and do a scene with Harrison Ford. Well, in the original script, Mark Hamill's name was not Luke Skywalker. It was Luke Starkiller, which I think is a badass name. But so they shot the scene, and Mark says he got a call later from George Lucas saying, "I want you to come back to shoot the scene." And Mark says, "Wait, I just no, no. You are now Luke Skywalker and not Luke Starkiller," because I guess it sounded too mean. A little bit of Star Wars history. See, on these live podcasts, you just never know what interesting tidbits you're going to listen to. Luke Starkiller. And Mark Hamill says, "I hated Luke Skywalker." It sounded like Luke Flywalker or something like that, he was saying. But anyway, I thought it was cool to catch that. Yeah, you can certainly run it on a full blown system with good hardware. Sure, yeah. I think they're doing another Star Wars film, if I read it correctly somewhere. Debian is good. Yep. Debian based, Debian stable branch is, well, it's just stable. I mean, that's the way it was designed. So yeah. Tim, do you know anybody who uses a Chromebook? Out of curiosity. All right, so your Ubuntu runs great since 14.04. Uh, uh, right, that's when you started it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't use mine a lot, but when I do, it's great. I mean, it's super fast. It updates fast, and they're just a joy to use. They really are. They really are an amazing piece of affordable technology. It's yeah. Well, it looks like tonight it's the Total OS and Tim show for tonight, Tim. Just fine. I may jump on again live around the 3rd or the 4th of July. I have no plans as of now. So just to give you a heads up, it might be on, and maybe we'll do a news nonsense and something like that. We'll see how the weather goes. I really don't know when to schedule these anymore. So, yeah. Always good to hear from you too, Tim. Absolutely. Even if it's virtually like this. Yeah. I think I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. It's almost midnight here, so I got a long day tomorrow. So I think I'll wrap this up. Tim, as always, thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure. For those of you I missed, I apologize, and I'll catch you on the next one. And let me know what your thoughts about this Wayland Xlibre current Linux controversy. Be safe if you celebrate the 4th. Arrivederci. Take care, Tim.